you know, in the summer. He says, whatever you want, it's fine with me. And he said, well, I'll come to camp, but there's no guarantees this year. Well, actually, I talked it over with a few of the guys in the team, you know, what they thought I should do. And most of them said, well, why don't you just hang in there for the rest of the year, you know? So take the money.
Well on my way.
Invest it, Larry. Another 10 tickets.
$10 at 10% for 20 years. I'll have $100 for the 150. You're rich, you're rich, you're rich.
John Muckler said that practices should be productive and enjoyable. Well, they weren't productive because I wasn't really practicing very much, and they certainly weren't enjoyable, so what good was I getting out of them? You have to be able to live with yourself. You have to be happy, and just, I wasn't happy anymore.
I think they have to know that someplace in time that I'm going to be the guy that's going to tell them they're either traded or it's time to be retired.
It's part of the sport. The cycle of building. I mean, players are going to get older, and I mean it's just a natural progression. The cycle keeps going, and the new guys push the old guys, and eventually the old guys are gone.
That lid on, Doc.
And they brought him into the dressing room?
Yeah.
Toronto. In Toronto? How you doing, Paul? How's it going? we started talking to Joe and Lefty. We got more on that than we did out of you.
I was an odd. You guys were 18th place overall. Right? It was really an odd. You guys are awesome.
We're eating it up. 21st.
The sort of things that Paul Coffey did on the ice were similar to what Wayne Gretzky had done for the 6 or 7 previous years. The Norris Trophy for best defenseman, and there was Bobby Orr scoring records, there was points and goals. I mean, he literally won games by himself. Personally, I think his biggest accomplishment was that he was on Wayne Gretzky's level. But at the beginning of this season, he had his problems. One of the problems being Glenn Saylor.
Well, Paul is I guess, an extraordinary talent. Probably the greatest skater I've ever seen, who can be as good as he wants to be and probably as bad as he wants to be, all in the same shift on the ice. I mean, he can make a brilliant play in 10 seconds, and the next 5 seconds he can look awful. And I mean, I can't figure him out. I know when he's playing really well, and I know when he's playing poorly, I have to keep playing him in order to let him play himself out of it. Obviously, you can't lie about it sometimes. Sometimes it's so easy to see that you can't avoid it. Sometimes I do criticize him to get his attention, to get him playing, get him mad at me, and get him playing better.
The press came to me after Glenn said something in the paper, and I wasn't in a great mood that day, and I probably should have thought before I spoke, but I mean, that's
what did you say?
What did I say? Just basically that I was pretty upset. Glenn, sometimes centers is out, I think, in front of everybody. If it means getting you mad at him to make you play better, I mean, Glenn will do that. And a lot of times it works, and sometimes it doesn't.
Well, I think that that we still have to go through the adjustment of changing the attitude on the hockey club that you can't do it by yourself. No matter how much individual talent that we have on the team, you still have to fall into the confines that the coaches described for you. Calgary set up a specific game plan to play against us to stop the little drop passes and fooling around with the blue line and the weaving. And, I mean, it's no secret. I mean, it's a simple thing to do if you get your players to do it. Our players didn't adapt to that. They're so used to dominating and winning on individual talent by throwing the puck around and being creative that when we ran up against them, they didn't adjust to it. And I think that we're still going through the same problems this year.
Make sure you got lots of slack to get over.
The Oilers lead Montreal 3-1. We're in the second intermission at the Northlands Coliseum in Edmonton. And Don, I suppose in other circumstances we might say, well, class will tell. Just when people start doubting the Oilers, they come up with a solid performance. But I think some doubts remain. Certainly those Calgary losses linger. And there is the feeling that the Oilers are in trouble no matter who they're playing these days, or they're not automatic winners anyway.
Well, it used to be like the Montreal. You go into Montreal back in the 70s, hang on, and try not to get beat too bad. And it was the same thing here. When you'd come into Edmonton, you used to think, let's not run up the score. But now, after Calgary's done a number on them, people come in here thinking they can win. And they do not have that flow. They used to have that flow, dropping the puck over here. You can see they're winning, but they're winning on guts tonight. They're still struggling.
It's amazing how many people have left the building. There's probably 2,000 to 3,000 people have left, maybe even more. Okay, Messier now with Gretzky, Lowe and Muni. Face off, just inside center on the Oilers side of center ice, Troy Murray and Mark Messier. And Messier gets the draw back to Craig Muni. And he punches a long shot into Murray Bannerman. Murray, be careful. Here's Doug Wilson back in behind the Hawk net. He works it up on the right side for Troy Murray. He rolls at the center. It's tipped by Kevin Lowe. Here's a 2-on-1. Troy Murray right in. He centers it. They score! Secord! Al Secord in sudden death overtime. A power play goal. And it's a 6-5 victory by the Chicago Blackhawks. Kevin Lowe gambled at the blue line and lost. All right, so the Hawks win at 6-5 in sudden death overtime, and a big win it was for the Chicago Blackhawks. They emptied the bench, and they win at 6-5 in sudden death overtime. I'll be back with a game summary in a moment.
I don't think the average fan understands how seriously we take a loss. I mean, how devastating it is. No matter how many games you win, you seem to always remember the losses and how you lost. I mean, you can be 70-10 in an 80-game schedule, and you can barely remember 20 of the 70 wins, but you can remember all of the 10 losses.
I mean, everyone realized that we're all making mistakes, and, you know, the coaches can only have so many meetings, and eventually it gets down to, well, hopefully we'll just try to skate it out of them.
At least you have an advanced warning. I mean, you know from the night before to expect it, so you go home and get a good night's sleep. That day we skated about an hour straight, which is a lot. Which is more than, I mean, most practices are an hour, but you actually skate maybe 10 or 12 minutes of the practice, full out. But we skated an hour full out, and then we resurfaced the ice, and we had a normal practice for another hour and a half. I mean, it was unheard of. Never in my 8 years had we done that sort of thing.